Welcome back to another tutorial video. This is the third one in my cinematic sound collection tutorial videos that I'm doing. The first video I looked at the multi-poly and created sort of a big cinematic sort of pad sound. I did the similar one on the Opsix, which is FM, so a very different sound but a similar idea. This one, I'm looking at the Wavestate, and the final one will be the Modwave. So the idea behind that is to create a cinematic evolving pad type sound using the synth, and each one of the synths comes up with its own sound by the nature of its sound engine. So we've got a sort of big analog type sound from the multi-poly, very digital FM sound from the Opsix. The Wavestate uses samples and wave sequencing, so we're going to end up with something like that. I haven't prepared this at all, so I'm going to start from initial patch, and that's what I've got running there. I'm doing this on the Wavestate module, but I actually control it from my multi-poly, but that's the sound of the Wavestate you can hear. So Wavestate, it's usually samples and filters. Origins go from the Wave Station. I've done a full video on sort of really deep dive on this, so I'll be skimming over some parts of it, but we're going to be using some of the wave sequencing to get that effect, but we might also end up using just normal samples and filters to get some of the effects. We've got 4 layers to play with, and that gives us lots of scope for movement. So the idea is something that you heard at the beginning there, so we're going to have sort of different levels and different layers to the sound. So I think first what we're going to do is a wave sequencing type sound. So I'm trying to think what we want to shift through there. So for this one, I'm going to try and use more acoustic sounds, and then have a layer of more synthetic sounds. So the way that wave sequencing works here, it goes through different samples. You hear sine wave, then the chroma wave, and you see it's got set as 1 second interval between the two. And we've got some crossfading. Now we don't have to have it in seconds, we can have it in beats divided down, so it's tempo based, which means it syncs up better with the DAW when you do it that way. But for our example, it might work with timings, so we can probably leave timings. So we can have different timings on each sample, or the same, it's up to us. We have different pitches, and we've got some gate and step values as well. So step values, we could also say the cutoff as well over time, as well as using the traditional subtractive synthesis, LFOs and envelopes. So really, when you think what the core of the sound is, what do I want it to start with? So I want to think of some kind of string sound. So if we go to strings, we see we've got a ton of these. I've got some custom samples in, separate videos on that, and here's one of my D110, Roland D110, I've sampled and loaded that in. That's available from the digitallifestyle.com if you want to try that. So what strings do we want to start with? So maybe I'm going to start with a chamber string, and then I'm going to go to an orchestral string. Let's just try that. Yeah, that's okay. And then I want another string, and I want it to go into something more, maybe something synthetic. So we need to change our endpoints there. That's okay. Now already that's sounding close to what I had in sort of my head, and then we're going to go with some Merliton tape strings as well. So that's probably enough, but you can see I can keep going. There we go. That crossfade sounds quite nice. If you want sort of a musical rhythmic effect, then you take the crossfade off, set it to a timing, which we might do on a later layer. So now in terms of envelopes, remember to reach to this one, not the multi-poly. We want to change the envelope, so we've got a slower attack and some release time on there. Let's just try that. That's about right, I think. I might just going to extend that crossfade just a little. that's actually pretty much what I want on there. No effects set on it yet, so let's put some effects on it. So I think we'll have some compression. Don't think we really need chorus for this. We'll add some tape delay. And some master reverb as well. Let's get something a bit... Okay, so quite like that. So that's our first layer. So now this next layer, I might just use a single piano. So I want the envelopes on that one. I want to have some nice release on there. I don't even know whether we want to even put any effects or filtering on this level. We'll save perhaps the filtering for the analog layer. But let's have a listen to what we did. Actually, it does sound quite good. So maybe I want to apply some filter envelope to that. So I'm going to turn the cutoff down, go to envelopes, and let's set sort of a release like that. It's a bit synthetic. There we go. I'll make it a bit velocity sensitive. Okay, and again we have some, and we got some different delay on this one. And we could even play and have, let's try it with some phaser. It takes away that strong attack though when you put that on, so maybe that's better. Right, so now we've put them together. So that effects actually hasn't really worked exactly how I want it. Maybe I should have turned the string levels down a bit. I want my strings to have more of it, my piano layer to have more of an impact. So actually, I'm just going to leave the filter open and add some compression. Maybe that works better. Yeah, so leave that as that. So next layer, now we want my synthetic layer. Now we could look at synth strings or brass sounds or whatever. I'm going to do some wave sequencing for this, I think. So let's choose a sawtooth. So I'm going to use a 2600 sawtooth. And then just to give it a bit of variety, I'm then going to go into a different sawtooth. We'll see if it makes a difference. It might not. Let's go with the Moog one as well. So you can hear that change between them. It does add a bit of variety to it, doesn't it? This one I will put some filter on and use a filter envelope. We might. Quite like that one. And for that I want some tape delay on that one. we need on that brass is some LFO, I think. And this is where I'm going to get a bit interesting. I like the LFO speed. I'm going to make it a free running one, so it just constantly running like that. But I want its speed of the LFO to change. So we need another LFO. We're not currently using the pan one. So I'm going to make the pan LFO affect the speed. I'll make this free running as well. Pan LFO is going to increase the speed of our LFO. So if we slow that right down, we should get the effect of the LFO speeding up and slowing down again. Yeah, that's about right. And actually, I want a little bit of pitch deviation as well. So on the tuning, I'm going to use that pan LFO because it's about the right place. Just have a little tiny bit. That's it, yeah. So now we're bringing the strings back in. Sounds about right, that. And I think we will do some panning on this as well. So with that LFO. Okay, that's probably enough for now. So I want to add some actual sequence movement now, so I'm going to need another layer for that one. So we've got 3 layers there now. So what I'm going to do with this 4th layer, and to bring some more movement in, we've done the wave sequencing in the nice sort of transition one. Let's introduce something a bit more audible. So we're going to use a timing for this one. So we're not going to use the seconds. We're going to use it in timing mode, so it's locked to the beats per minute. So let's think of what we could use on that. So I'm going to use some synth type sounds. I'm going to use some of the Wavestate type sounds here. We've got spectrum, and then I'm going to go. Now let's just put these on quarter notes while we're trying it. Yeah, spectrum like that. And then I'm going to go with one. Let's have a bit of vocal. We've not had any vocals, have we, in this? So we need some vocal sounds. Oh, I'm going to put the air synth in. I do like that one. And then we'll get some vocal sounds. We'll get the air vox. I think that's always a good one. And then another vocal sound. We'll go the R1. And then we'll go with another synth type sound. Let's go another Wavestate one. Use one of the other spectrums, or maybe let's go with that one. Right, so I've got a few there. So let's see what these sound like. I'm going to turn off on this note the crossfade. So we'll just hear one. Yeah. And I think what I'll do is I'll speed that up. So I think it needs a couple more just to finish this off. So go back to our synth, sonar, and maybe another vocal one. Right, so now when we play a chord, so that's okay. Now there's other things we could do if that sounds a bit abrupt as we're switching the two. What we could actually do is do a saw down, like that, and step sequence there. So what will happen now is that if that step sequence uses the shape lane, it will send a pulse of 100, and then it'll go down to 0, and then it'll send a pulse of 100, and so on. So we could actually have an envelope, pseudo envelope effect with that. But what we can do the cutoff, reduce the cutoff down, and apply the step sequence. So you can hear what I mean about the triangle of the saw down. If I put in a different one, and we could even do some ratcheting. So what I'm going to do for that one is I'm going to match these up so each step has got its own value, like that, and we can hear some different effects. Actually, I wasn't using the gate one, but I've done that one anyway. So let's give that one a try, the saw down. We'll have the up, saw down, and then I'm going to copy that one. In fact, I'm going to have them all saw down, but this one I'm going to have a double one, which I think there's a double one here. So that's a double trigger, and let's see what that sounds like. Oh, and of course I need to bring this down like that, and we've got that one that's the triangle. That'll sound odd, so I'm going to put that back to there. That sounds quite good. And I could even go with a triple one. That actually sounds quite good. But what we can do is we can drop the probability down so we don't always get that triple one. So it's not quite as jarring. There we go. Now you can just bring the cutoff level up if you want to still hear the sound a bit. Actually, think about that. What would sound good there is some filter LFO like that, and tempo sync the filter LFO and free run that. So we hear that more effects. Right, and now let's go with some interesting delays. That's it. Bring those all back together. There's a lot going on there now, perhaps a bit too much. So I think, yeah, it's probably a bit much. The piano sounds okay. The analog layer is probably just a bit high. We could maybe bring that down a bit. And of course, what you could do is I could allocate this to one of the mod knobs on the front panel, so I can just control that real time. Now the other thing is that this layer here is I'm going to sync these so that they're in sec. So if I play a chord, they sync together. Let's just bring this. That's probably a bit not as subtle as I would have liked, but it does show you an example of different techniques. We've got a smooth crossfading for the orchestral strings. We've got just an old piano going through a filter. We've got a typical analog synth type sound with a filter, and then actual percussive or sequence notes on there. And we could still do more. What might be interesting in last bit of that is it just goes up an octave or 2 octaves. It's probably a bit over the top, that one, but it does serve as a good example. And that's the Wavestate version. Next up, Modwave to do, and then that's all 4 synths done. So please like and subscribe. Let me know if you see some other tutorials. I get a lot of ideas from comments, so if you leave a comment, I'll definitely read it, and if it's suitable, I'll create a video for it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.